First day, you're
All
already
right.
causing trouble.
Good evening. The Design Review Board 1 public meeting of June 16, 2011 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker's cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You'll be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current DRB agendas are available by calling our DRB hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and DRB reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at their discretion. Roll call. Mr. Ellis?
Present.
Mr. Insua?
Yes.
Ms. Palmer?
Here.
Mr. Simonian? Absent. Mr. Yu? Absent. Report regarding posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on June 9th, 2011. Oral communications. Do you have any cards? Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on an item not a part of the agenda? Okay, great. We are down to our review calendar. Staff does have one announcement. We'd like to introduce the new and returning board member, Mr. Brian Ellis. Yes.
Welcome back, Mr. Ellis.
A warm welcome.
Actually, microphone.
There you go. How about that? Much better. Thank you. I don't know quite where that comment means, but I just wanted to let the community know, and I think my fellow board members, I'm here not as a professional architect, nor builder, nor designer. I've been involved in our community for about 25 years with the Northwest Glendale homeowners. My walking orders from Councilmember Manukian and from Mr. Yosefian, who originally appointed me 2 years ago, was to represent the community. And so my goal is to look at projects. I'm here to make Glendale a better community for all of us. I will look at projects that are, and I will support those that are following the rules, that are done legally. And my one view will be that of the neighbors. I'm going to look at a project. If I'm across the street from that house, well, I want to look at it for the next 50 years. And so that's my point of view, and I look forward to making Glendale a better community for all of us. Thank you.
I want to welcome you back, because when we had the opportunity of working together, in spite of not having matter of fact, let me say it again, you did a terrific job. And because you weren't an architect, you were able to provide a sense of perspective from a trained, educated, involved homeowner, community member, and you did a great job. I'm glad to have you back.
Some call those gadflies, though.
No, you did a great job.
Anyway, I do have one note before you move into the minutes. I noticed on the minutes that we're going to be approving here, or you guys are going to be approving, I'm listed as being absent from that last meeting. I hadn't been sworn in yet. And so I would request that my name be removed and it just be a vacant seat.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was under the understanding that you were.
You know, I hadn't gone down and gotten held up my hand to the city clerk and done that whole step yet. So I really I had been appointed, but I hadn't fully assumed it. Thank you.
Then actually, I don't know that we'll be able to vote on the minutes since there are only two of you here.
Well, one of you may not even been here, were you? Or I don't know. Nope. Okay.
All right. We have nothing on the consent calendar, so we're down to the regular Design Review Board cases. I do have one announcement for the case, the first case, Design Review 1, PDR 2011-015A at 3620 La Crescenta Avenue. The applicant failed to post the site in time, And so we are requesting that the case be continued to July 14th.
Right.
Okay, we need a motion to,
Yeah, just...
I'd like to make a motion to reschedule it to the date as noted.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion is made to continue the project without further notice to July 14th. Roll call, Mr. Insua.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Ms. Palmer.
Yes.
All right, thank you. We're down to the next project at 1640 Oaken Gate.
Okay, Mr. Baxter?
Chair, members of the board, our next project is the only one up here. And we have on the left side of the board our new proposal, and this is the existing one. I hope this is not too awkward here. I kind of ran out of room. But so if we look at the... Just point real quick, I apologize. Thank you very much. So on the new project, which entails this right here, we have our location map. Now, Mr. Ellis was the only one who hasn't really been given the tour, so if you'll bear with me, I'll give you a quick little tour. So the site planning is very much the same. The house will be in the same location. There is a variance, or was a variance in conditional use permit when you take down more than 50% of the house. It's considered a new house, and then the new rules kick in, and so there was their lot being less than 80 feet, they automatically require a conditional use permit. And then they asked if they could keep the same setbacks that they had for the existing house.
Sure, like a foot less than
Yes,
current
well,
code.
actually, the existing house is 5 feet 3 inches from this side, and it is 9 feet from this side. So they're asking to maintain or meet the code, which is 10 feet for the zone on either
It's 10
side.
in that zone, okay.
Yeah, for the zone. So the footprint is pretty much the same. So the proposed house will be 3493, just under 3,500 square feet, which requires a 2-car garage. It was very similar the last time the board reviewed it, on January 27th of this year, and that project was returned for redesign. The existing house was a mid-century. In fact, if you see the photographs here, it was a mid-century, so that's what we called it, a mid-century style. And the lot, if you look here on this lot, and there's some photographs you can see on the screen over here as well, the lot is basically flat till you get to the very back end, which is not being developed, and then beyond that is a very steep slope. It's located in a hillside zone and surrounded by the semi zone in all directions from it. And the neighborhood in this area is the Ross Moines area. Going through the neighborhood survey, I'll go through that for Mr. Ellis. We have a range of properties. This particular site is 9,060 square feet. Properties range from 9,000 to just under 20,000, with the average being 11.5. The setbacks are pretty fairly consistent, between 15 to 25. This one is 15 feet to the front porch, but it's set back further for the garage, almost 22 feet. The house sizes range from about 1,900 square feet to just under 5,000 square feet, with an average of 29 versus this house, which is just under 3,500. The floor area ratios again range from 16% to 42%, and about 26% is the average, this house being about 39. Of course, 1 and 2 stories. The majority of homes are 2-story. When we look at our site planning, there's several categories of lot coverage and landscaping, parking, site walls, and privacy. The staff had recommendations regarding the rear wall back here. Currently, there's a very small, about 18-inch high wall with a fence on top. The applicant was wanting to capture just a couple more feet, but because of the steep slope here, it picks up the height of the wall. So they were looking at a 3 to 5 foot high retaining wall with a safety fence on top. There are some photographs that the applicant's going to go through, and you can kind of get a feel for the steepness of that site back there. So staff is suggesting to maintain basically what they have. The parking, there's no change other than that the garage is pushed back 7 feet. There's no issues with the privacy, the side windows. When you look here, we have a little comparison. It's sort of off to the side, but if you look, you can see the proposed house and how it looks here, and here, and here. These are the properties on either side. The property, if you face the street here, this property is way, way below, and this property is on the same plane, same level elevation. As far as mass and scale is concerned, the staff does recommend simplifying some of the wall and roof articulation, and the entry. We felt that the mass and scale was just a little large. Overall, it was an improvement from the last presentation, which is more of a box presentation over there to the right. And the last category on our design category, staff is recommending that the roof material be more of a flat tile, a metal roof rather than the flat tile they're proposing. They also have a kind of a cultured stone at the base that they're proposing here, a cultured stone material, but the staff is considering more like I'm calling it a fiber board, like it's sort of known as like a hardy plank type of thing. And then the windows, which are certainly better than the last time, we felt that some of them have a bit more of a vertical appearance, and we were trying to get more of a horizontal to be more reflective of the style, which tends to reflect kind of the ranch horizontal look, trying to get more of a horizontal look out of the property. But they've done a much better job in doing that from the last presentation as far as staff is concerned. Now, in January of this year, there were numerous conditions that the board asked the applicant to look at. Hopefully, you had a chance to go through them. I don't want to take a lot of time going through them, but the staff, again, the first condition was the architectural style lacks character and uniformity. We studied the hierarchy of the windows and doors, etc. And staff feels that the new proposal more faithfully represents the style that they're proposing here. However, we are, as I mentioned, are suggesting the metal roof, more of the hardy plank base, and windows to be more horizontal to give it more of a horizontal look, and maybe simplify the roof eave. Tends to be a little complicated. The second condition was to select an authentic architectural style, and we felt that it was fairly consistent with some modifications to that roof entry and scale that I've mentioned. Number 3, the proposed design needs refinement and composition of surfaces. We feel that it is much more interesting than the previous one. Again, the same issues that keep coming up with, the roof, the fiberboard base, and maybe simplification of some of the eaves and the wall articulation. That theme is going to pretty much be repetitive here. Overall, staff feels that they're in the right direction with this modification of that. The restudy of the design proportion character of the windows, and staff felt they're fairly consistent, looking for just a little bit more horizontal look. Number 5 was a restudy of the roofs, and we felt that they addressed that fairly well. And number 6, the rear elevation. You can see here there was concern about being fairly homogeneous. We felt that this version here, which is here, is a much better presentation. Number 7, the garage door, we felt it was acceptable as well. As far as landscaping, we did feel that there was possibly a little bit more hardscape than we needed, that probably could be simplified through here, though the applicant has stated that I believe they're going to have a sand base with the paving stones on it, but we still feel that it's fairly wide through there. Maybe they could simplify it and make it more landscaped. And we'd ask for a landscape plan for the entire site at the very back there in the backyard. We don't have one. And then the impermeable paving surface for the driveway and walkways, that gets back to what I was referring to. The staff met with the applicant's new architect several times. And
Actually, if I see the drawings.
that's correct.
Okay. Have a licensed architect. Difference from what I'm looking at, okay.
I am sorry, that was my error. I apologize. Under staff recommendations, we have several. Again, they go back to the same issues I've been repeating. This particular case, number one, was just reducing some of the hardscape from what is proposed landscape for the entire site. The retaining wall that is proposed in areas that we find acceptable, we don't think that the standard split face material, the block split face, maybe something else might be more appropriate. The retaining wall at the back that's being proposed, we prefer that it be a much smaller retaining wall, keeping it basically where it is, as is now. Then simplifying the house wall and eave articulation, reducing the height and mass of the entry column, metal roof, the fiberboard, and the window design. So I tried to go a little bit too quick there, but I know that you may want to discuss it and I can answer questions. Applicant's here, and he also, so is the property owner.
Before we get started, can we get confused?
Yes.
I think the elevations are all mislabeled.
You know, I talked to the architect about that, and so he had a time to go through, and I think he thinks it's a little tweaked. He was trying to go through it with me, and he feels that's closer than not, but it's off a little bit, so he
It
is
just
aware of
gets
that.
confusing with the
Yeah.
old plans and the new
Yeah,
plans. so.
yeah,
Because they don't match.
I went through it with him, and so if there's something that you need, we can certainly clean that out, plan check, and I apologize.
No, I just meant so we can,
Got it.
I don't get confused.
All right. I guess what I had tried to show is at least he can see this is a rear and that's a rear.
That's fine.
And so I apologize. I should have probably done what I did here, which was just rewrite it on that one.
Oh, so you're okay.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Okay,
have any
anyway,
other-
sorry.
I have one quick question for
Yes,
you.
sir.
Decks, how do they fit into the floor area ratio? Are they not
They are not floor area ratio, they are lot coverage.
lot covered? Because I noticed when I counted up the balconies, there seems to be 4 balconies listed on the second floor.
All right.
And one of them, they're listed as balcony 1, 2, 3, but they're actually 4 on the plans. And I was trying to figure out where the 4th, it's like 260 square feet. So
Is that on the rear, sir?
yeah, it's on the second floor.
Okay.
So here, see, they're listed here, 1, 2, and 3. But you got balcony 1, balcony 2.
And it's,
Is that balcony 3? I thought I was counting
No.
a 4th one, but that one I don't see listed on the plan anywhere. That was what I was wondering.
okay, fair enough. That's a good question. I don't know.
Okay.
But it's not a floor area issue. I think
It's a lot coverage, and they don't
It's
see
just
that
a
in the
lot
top plan.
coverage,
Okay.
and they're pretty much underneath the roof
Yeah.
and part of the roof anyway. So if we look at the back, we can see 1, 2, 3 here, and
And then the 4th is the one on the front, right?
no, that's not one of. Oh, yes,
Yeah,
you're
right
correct.
here.
There's a 4th.
That was what I was saying. So there's
Yeah.
actually 4 on the plans, but only 3 counted.
Yes, yes, sir.
Any other questions?
One last question for you, Mr. Baxter. Height, building height
Yes.
in that zone, what's maximum for a?
35.
35. Okay, thank you.
32 with less than 3 and 12 pitch roof.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We don't have any other questions. I have, excuse me, I have 6 speaker cards, and I will start with the first one, Mr. Hagobian.
Good evening, board members. For the records, I think I have to give my name and address. My name is Edward Hagobian. 220 South Kenwood Street, Suite 210, Glendale 91205. That's my address. I'm the new designer of this project, and I believe board members know the history of this project better than I know. I'm a newcomer. Anyway, I would like to appreciate the helps from Stephanie and Chris during these few months that we have been working with them. They helped us to develop this project. We went through some changes. We ended up with what is here today for you to see. I have a list of things that recommendations or comments from the staff. I would like to go through those items. The first item that I have here is the metal roof recommendation. In that neighborhood, there is no metal roof, and owners don't like it. That's one reason. The other reason is that the colors of this kind of tiles that we choose, they have very nice colors. So we could match with the stucco, we could match with other materials in the elevations. Metal roofs, I don't know why, but they have very strong colors, and they don't look like they will go with the other materials that we have there. So we would like to ask to agree with what we have here, which is concrete tile. Decorative material that we are using in the before that material, I have to talk about the roof height of the entry. We've made a lot of changes to the height of that roof, and if the recommendation is to make it the same level of the garage roof and the living room roof, I believe we will not have that breaks that we have there. It will be one long, monotonous, boring roof there. So that's one reason. The other reason is that the columns that we have here, they are a few feet in front of, towards the street, like a few feet in front. So if I make the roofs same height, what will happen? Behind this entry, we have a transition of 1-story to 2-story. We have 2-story height inside after we pass this entry door. So I believe this roof has a different function than this roof. This is just for the room. But this one is a transition between 1-story to 2-story. We have in the plan, if you see, we have a corridor on the second floor that overlooks to the entry. So because of these 2 or 3 problems that we will have, if we change this roof and bring it down, I don't know. I don't think it will work out. If I raise the other roofs, I mean 2 roofs to make it same as the entry roof, then this roof will run into the balcony of this balcony. So after a lot of thoughts and working with this roof, we came up with this solution. Again, I have to mention this, repeat myself, that if I make this same level, we'll have one roof all the way from left to right, which I don't think is as exciting as this one is. And this is not a kind of 2-story height or 1.5-story height, just a slightly, maybe a foot or 2 higher than the rest of the roofs. Nothing to emphasize that grandiose of the entry that is not acceptable for the city. Then the material that we are using on the bottom of the building, the owners like a more durable material that is cultured stone. I see this yellow light is on. I don't know if I have to stop talking or I can continue.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Our concept was to have no vertical joints, only horizontal joints to emphasize the horizontality of the house, that as you can see from the street, from the back, all we have are horizontal lines. And this also, I think we had a piece of material that we show the groove that we have, how it sits on top of each other. I don't see that.
I think Armin took it back.
I don't know.
But
that.
you still see the material there,
Yeah.
though.
The material is here, but there is a groove on top that each row that we put on top of each other then will be a nice groove that goes all around the building. So if you allow us, we'll use that durable material that is more durable for the splash of the rainwater or sprinklers. So I do. May I
Go ahead
continue?
and finish,
Yeah.
wrap it up quickly if you could.
Okay.
please.
Well, there are some other things that I would like to talk about. That the landscape plan, if there's anything missing there or has to be changed, we'll change it. No problem. That titles underneath the plans, if there's anything wrong, we'll change it. No problem. Articulations. All the articulations we have for the walls and the roofs, wherever we have, if you look at that elevation there, wherever we have that wall there, the roof is short. Wherever we have a window, the roof is longer to protect that window. Other than that, we didn't create a kind of artificial articulations that doesn't make sense. If we have that block there, that is a bathroom there, and this is a sitting area for the kitchen, breakfast area. So we tried not to have phony, artificially made articulations. And I have seen a lot of this kind of extended roof in front of the windows in city of Glendale. Okay?
Okay. Does anybody have
Do you have any questions?
Do not.
You know, one question to help you finish off here. What's your opinion concerning the block walls?
A lot of us really agree with that.
Change the material.
I know that, and it was a good suggestion from Stephanie, and I appreciate that. I had, as a matter of fact, for a long time I had a confusion about this split-face blocks because he's right, it looks like commercial. But when it's narrower and it looks more residential, we'll do it, no problem.
To clarify the stone that's at the base, does that have a cap on it at
Yes.
the top?
Yes, I think we showed the cap somewhere, some detail. Maybe there's a drawing that I don't remember where it is.
It kind of shows on here, Judy. Unless
Yeah, it shows, but
Shows,
nothing's
but-
said. I mean, it's artist license, so I just want to make sure it's not just...
So overall, we try to present a project today that hopefully you'll like it.
Okay. Before we continue, I think that's the only questions we have for now.
Other questions?
Before we continue, I want to mention we do have a series of letters that we have received, and we have read those letters.
Well, the owners will talk about that.
Next, I have
Thank you.
Ivana Samuelson. Oh, I'm sorry. Joyce Samuelson. You have 3 minutes. Just have your name and address, please, for the
Yes.
record.
Good evening, Ms. Chair and the Design Review Board members. We've met numerous times, and hopefully this time will be a little more successful for us. My name is Joyce Samuel, and I'm the owner of 1640 Oaken Gate. I want to begin extending thanks to the board and specifically to Mr. Insua and Mr. Simoyan for giving us a guidance of choosing a style that we like. And with the help of our very talented architect, I think we nailed it.
That's the smartest thing that lady said.
I think we designed a unique and still compatible in every way. We did the horizontal orientation, the proportional hierarchy windows of Mr. Aliano's suggestion from the past hearing, and overall articulation throughout the elevation, as you could see, exists. And as to Ms. Palmer's suggestion, we did get Mr. Peacock's landscape, which is a revised version of what we had on the previous, is now we are following the drought-tolerant plantation. So we have that in our proposal. And as to the added recommendation of the staff using the metal roof versus the roof of our choice, as Mr. Hagopian said, I don't want to elaborate on the same note. We don't like it. Honestly, we don't see one roof in our neighborhood, whether it's on our immediate street or even throughout the whole Rosemont district. I believe that type of roof belongs on a lighter foundation property, where ours being that we have control of how well it's going to be built. I think we could choose anything of weight proportion, even though this is still considerably lighter than what's still available out there, which tends to be much heavier in weight, over 700 pounds. This is going to be, I believe, under 450 pounds. And additionally, objections we have of the fiberboard base. As Mr. Hagopian mentioned, I have seen neighbors who have had that placed due to the demand of the board, and now as we speak, within 3 years, their deterioration process has gone through, and now they're on the verge of changing. So I would like to minimize any kind of maintenance on the long term. If I could please be given the permission to use stone. If not this stone, I'll even bring another stone, but anything but hardy plank, because I have seen that it has failed in numerous ways, whether it's because of sprinklers or because of just rainy, humid reason. And in summary, our new proposal does its best preserving the character of the neighborhood and appropriate to the subject lot. Architecture detailing appears, I believe, consistent due to the horizontal expressions, and I believe the low profile is also minimizes the mass, as we've always had a problem with the mass. And now that we've pushed the house considerably back, I think that also prevents the house from looking bigger, as before it was, as Mr. Simonian used to say, smack against the street. We're no longer there because we've pushed it 7 feet back. And for the purpose of the balconies, as Mr. Ellis brought it out, the reason balconies are there is because we'd like to use the outdoors, since our backyard has minimized somewhat because we wanted to push the back. We want to utilize the balconies so we can get that feel. Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully you like the project as much as we do.
I have one question.
Yes.
I do recall the last visit you were here, you were in love with your sago palms, and I've
Yes, I
noticed
still
you
am.
planted 5,000 more.
I still
So
am.
what's going to happen with this? Because we will have to go to the more drought-tolerant
Well, they
plantings.
are, again, we will use the new suggestions of Mr. Peacock.
Okay.
And if I have to let go, I have to let go. But honestly, the ones that are presently on my particular lot, they're not, they don't even have sprinkler system. I only water them when I need to.
I know, but-
and they've been living there for 25 years, and they haven't gone bad. So obviously, they are drought tolerant. They might have forgotten to include it in the list, I think. I don't know. But then who am I to judge that? You're the architect of also.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
I'm
Thank
sorry,
you.
I misspoke the name.
That's all right.
Now we have Hovannes Simonian. State your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of the Design Review Board. My name is Hovannes Simonian. I am the owner of this subject property located at 1640 Oaken Gate Drive, Glendale, California, 91207. First, I would like to thank you for your time and dedication to this board, and also would like to thank the city staff, Ms. Stephanie and Mr. Chris Baxter, for their diligent effort to try to help people on their projects to make a success. As you all know, we struggled for the last few years to try to make an improvement to our house. Finally, when we met and interviewed Mr. Edward Hagopian as a project architect, we automatically felt relief. At that time, we knew that with his 50 years of professional experience and knowledge, he will generate a design that would satisfy us and be accommodating to our needs, while also complying with the guidelines set by the board and the staff. The new design has a low-profile look, site-sensitive, compatible, and exciting. I would like to take advantage of this opportunity to elaborate on the recommended conditions and or comments made by the staff. On page 6, the last page, condition number 4, 3 or 5 foot retaining wall at the rear of the property is a must, because our backyard, being 5 feet higher from the slope, is subject to mudslides. Every time when we have heavy rain, we are concerned about it. We want to prevent any disaster from happening, especially there is another house down the slope. Also, we are planning to build a pool in the future, therefore we would like to be safe. The wall will not be visible from the street, nor from the neighbors. It will be hidden behind the cedar trees and dense shrubs and bushes. I have taken pictures from different directions, and I would like to show it to you. Condition number 6, my architect, Mr. Hagopian, already explained about reducing the height of the entry roof. In my opinion, by doing so, the house will replicate the existing house. It will destroy its uniqueness and charm. We have showed the design to the majority of our neighbors, and every one of them thinks that if the entry roof is lowered, the house will lose its character and appeal. Mr. Hagopian worked very hard to compromise that entry design. Condition number 7. The staff is recommending us to install metal roofing. Talking about being compatible to the area, or comparable, there isn't any metal roofing neither in my immediate neighborhood nor in the whole Rosemont area. I do not like metal roofing. Some people like it, and I respect that. I would appreciate if you would be sensitive and respect that. Condition number 8. The stone that we are planning to use on the base of the house is very durable material. Will last longer instead of the fiberboard based material, which will deteriorate in a short time and need excessive maintenance. Condition number 9, talking about windows horizontality, the windows design is already emphasizing a horizontal orientation. Mr. Hagopian worked hard to place those windows in their respective places so they will considerably protect neighbors and our privacy, and meantime not to jeopardize the integrity of the look and the design. I think this house will be positive contribution to the neighborhood rather than something negative. We hope that you find it to be good functional design. With my opinions, this design is charming, it's functional, has a recommended articulation, and it has all the essential elements of working plans and design. The neighbors want to see this house built. Everybody thinks that this will bring wonderful character to the neighborhood. In conclusion, I would highly appreciate your support approving this project with no or minor changes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Ovanes Kachunyan?
That's me.
Hi, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm sorry.
Could you give us your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Ovanes Khechumyan. I'm living in 1645 Oaken Gate. At Cross Street, my neighbors. And really, I saw the project, and I'd be happy if this building, every morning I wake up and see this building, I'd be really happy. The reason why I'm here, I'm really supporting this project because I think, in my opinion, it's pretty good for the neighborhood and the value, everything goes higher. And secondly, I want to say thank you very much for all of staff of city. You're doing the good job. The only reason I'm here, I explain again, I project this project. Thank you very much. That's what I want to say. I support this project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anita Poirier?
Good afternoon. My name is Anita Poirier. I live out of town, but I did grow up in Eagle Rock, and my family had a house on Grainhold just north of Glen Oaks for many years, so I love this town. The purpose of my being here is I've known the family just about 30 years. Joyce and I have worked together, and I've seen her children grow up, been to the house many times, had lots of times in the neighborhood checking things out. So I've seen it. I'm pretty impressed with it, but I'm not an architect. The purpose for being here is to give you some letters of support for neighbors who could not be here because of scheduling of family vacations. The first one comes from Albert Harabetian. He's a real estate agent, and his card says, "You have my support with the construction you intend to do at your property. I'm sure it will look amazing when done. Can't wait to see it. Good luck."
If you have several of those, could we just...
I only have 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They're very brief. The second one is from Dr. Karakasian. He's at 1611 Greenbrier Road. We have been living at 1611 Greenbrier for over 25 years. Many homes in our neighborhood have been deteriorating over that time. We have been aware that Mr. and Mrs. Samuelian have been trying to submit a design for an approval for several years with no success. Looking forward to a positive outcome. We welcome this change to the home and to the surrounding area. We anticipate that the Design Review Board members would accommodate and approve their design, as we believe it will fulfill the need of their growing family. A letter from Mr. William Peacock, 851 Misty Isle Drive, Glendale, to the Design Review Board. My name is William Peacock. I live within 300 radius of the Samuelian family. I had the pleasure to design the landscape architecture for 1640 Oakengate Drive project. I find the new style to be very appropriate for the neighborhood. Therefore, I stand by their projected decision to transform their home, and I strongly hope the Design Review Board does so as well. The last one is from Joanna McClure, 1633 Oakengate Drive. This is a support letter for the Design Review Board in regards to the home remodeling project of 1640 Oakengate Drive. I consider this a fine plan to changing our neighborhood for the better and developing the overall curb appeal of our street. I hope the board finally approves their project and allows them to move forward with their construction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. R.P. Samuelian? Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, my name is R.P. Samuelian. I reside at 1640 Oakengate Drive. I'm the daughter of John and Joyce Samuelian. Good evening, Mr. Chair and board members. I'd just like to take this opportunity to read a few more support letters written by some of our immediate neighbors who currently reside on our street, Oakengate Drive. One from Hagop Shirvanian, who lives on 1641 Oakengate. We have been living at 1641 Oakengate Drive for over 35 years, and within those years have seen several homes successfully remodeled on our street. I do not understand why the Samuelians have had a difficult time with getting their project approved. We have seen the latest designs and believe it is very appealing. It will immensely enhance our neighborhood, and we continue to welcome this change. We hope the Design Review Board finally approves their remodeling proposal so the Samuelians may build and enjoy their new home. Another letter from Tom Kachumian, who resides directly across from us, to the Glendale City Design Review Board. I would have liked to be there in person to give the Samuelians our support for their project, but unfortunately we will be out of town during the date of the hearing. Over the past 4 years, we have witnessed the Samuelian family display great efforts to comply with the Design Review Board's demands in their home remodeling project. Despite the fact that staff approves the overall style, we do not understand why they have placed conditions on the type of roof material and the height of the front entrance. The Samuelians live right across the street from us, and we personally do not find metal roofing attractive. We have seen all stages of their designs and think that the proposed design is authentic as is. We have strongly supported this project from day one and highly appreciate if the Design Review Board approaches their request positively. Letter from Kazanjian family, 1621 Oakengate Drive. Dear Board, we have been living at 1621 Oakengate for some 13 years now and have seen changes to homes which have enhanced the area with the help of your board. We have seen that Mr. and Mrs. Samuelian have been working hard to get their project approved for the past 4 years now. We have always and still do support their decision to remodel their home. We believe that the City and Board should be somewhat more accommodating in the issuing of any approvals regarding a tasteful upgrade to a deteriorating home, which would fulfill the needs of this family that has lived in their home for over 20 years. And this final letter is from Professor Richard Dekmejian. With this letter, we extend our full support of Mr. and Mrs. Samuelian's decision to remodel their home located at 1640 Oakengate Drive. Their anticipated changes will raise the relative value of our property. Since our neighborhood does not really express a particular style of architecture, it is our belief that a modest design of any style will benefit the area. For that reason, we ask that the Design Review Board moves forward in approving their project. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you very much. Van Soroyan?
Good evening. My name is Vaughn Soroyans, and I'm the #1 real estate broker with Coldwell Banker Los Feliz. Mr. and Mrs. Samuelian are both clients and dear friends. They have lived and worked in the city of Glendale and contributed extensively to the community for over 20 years. They have spent countless hours and tremendous resources in designing their new home and making sure that the design and the structure not only comply with applicable codes and ordinances, but that their new home will be harmonious and authentic with their immediate and larger community. I urge you to approve their submitted design and allow this wonderful family to enjoy their well-deserved, beautiful new home. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. Yervant Makikian?
Good evening. My name is Yervant Makikian. I live in 1516 Rockland Avenue, Glendale 91205. I have known this family for over 30 years, and I would appreciate to see their project approved because I have seen their family grow and the need for that enlargement of their residence. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have no other speaker cards, and I think that's only people in the audience. Any questions from any of the speakers? I'm going to close the public session. Did you want to speak again? You want to? Okay. Mr. Gobian?
Let him rebut it, yeah. Actually, I'll ask him a question, too.
Keep it short, because...
Very short. I have another version of the elevation that I have made the columns narrower. That's all I want to show you.
You want to give it?
Give it to, yeah. I have one quick question for you, sir. The surrounds around the windows and the doors, is that like the foam that's covered with?
No foam.
No foam
will be used.
Okay.
Yeah. It will be the same material that we are using for the base.
Had you considered any type of, using a different type of stucco to differentiate the lower as opposed to?
I don't like it, to be honest with you. I don't like two-color stucco. Simply one color overall.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to close the public session. Do we have photos of the rear slope area? Somebody mentioned that, Chris?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Hang on a second here. Here. Here's
Come over here.
I believe
We'll look
these
at those.
This is the
That's the
alternate?
thinner columns.
That's the
columns
You do have pictures?
of the rear slope. Actually, that's the one I wanted to see.
Okay.
I think he's got them. They're coming. Okay.
Oops. Okay, now, Mr. Gopian, I went out and did a site visit, so I can tell you a little bit here, I guess, from what I can see. This is looking, can I see your little, yeah. Why don't you talk if you're, tell me what that is there. This is looking down over the rail, I know that much, looking straight down the hill.
We are looking from right to left down to the slope, and you can see that there are a
Gotta
lot
open
of
this
trees
up
there
again.
that is hardy.
Can you just give us your name and address again?
My name is Edward Hagobian, and address is 220 South Kenwood Street, Suite 210, Glendale 91205. We have several photos that shows how dense these trees are there. So looking from the backyard to down to the neighbor, and we have some photos that we are looking from down the street towards the house that we cannot see the house from the street, and we cannot see the neighbors looking from our backyard down to the slope. And this is one of them. We are standing right next to the edge.
All right. Here's
Again, looking from the house down to the neighbor's house down. This is the backyard. This is our backyard here, and this is the slope, and these are. Again, same thing. Backyard is here, then downslope neighbors. This is the looking from the street up to the house. The house is somewhere here, and you cannot see the house. Same thing. I believe that's the house. And from the street to the house, I believe that's the house. That's the house. These are the trees. Walking.
one more. This is it, Mr. Gopian.
And that's the house.
Okay, fine, thank you very much. Close the public session. We ready to look at this, Mr. Nsua?
Sure. Let me gather my thoughts. I may go quickly, but that doesn't negate the value of this project. Let me say, just to say, that some of the letters have indicated that the homeowners have been doing this project for a long time. And Commissioner here, I'm sorry. But I want to make it clear that this architect, which I think you, the homeowner, even acknowledged when you brought someone of skill and talent and knowledge, I think project benefited. And it's a lot different, this submittal, than that submittal, not done by this firm. So if it took time that unfortunately was not of this gentleman, that's a shame. But when you find the right combination, things really help. I also want to say it's great when the community comes out. That's part of what we're all about. You can come out and support a project, you can come out and not support a project, but coming out and being involved is so important because that's how we make improvements, and now how we have dialogue. I'm not surprised that many of the homeowners here or in the letters have supported this project because I like this project, and there's a lot of reasons why I like this project. So let me see if I could go quickly through this process. For one of the first questions I often ask myself, is the new project, especially a significant project that's being renovating and improving an existing home, is it an enhancement and a betterment of the existing structure? And clearly, when you look at this existing structure, which is a very nice structure, and the homes in the area are very nice, but in my humble opinion, this project is significantly enhancing what you currently have right now, and you get what you need, because you need more square footage, and you also need the renovation. So I think that even though the existing home is fine, maybe a paint job here or there to give it some character, but this is certainly, in my opinion, a significant improvement. So for that, it satisfies, yes, it is an enhancement to the existing structure. The thin columns, absolutely not. And when I think about the proportions of what Mr. Agopian has been able to achieve in this rendering, the proportions of these thicker columns in the front, I think it's perfect. And to thin them up, I would never approve such a thing. You explored it, thank you, but you haven't. That what you have right now, I think proportionally is perfect. I also like the way that you put in a metallic door. It's a new interpretation, if I read it correctly, sort of like a metallic door here, and the garage doors have a metallic flavor to it. That's a reinterpretation of a modern version of a period California ranch home. I like it. You know, anyone could put a wood door in there. Okay, great, but you've pushed a little bit of that, and I like it. And when I combine that with the entry, which is a really nice entry compared to what we had before, and what often many people do is put a silly hat on an entry because they don't have much talent, and I see this, I think that works for me. I especially like the way that if there's an entry or something that's protruding, you give it the same architectural style. You give it that little push out in the roof. I think that's terrific. When you also look at the other homes in the neighborhood, one of the things that comes out to me is there is a large expanse of roof. Period homes, California ranch, emphasize the roof. Not really minimize it, but emphasize it. And I think you do a fabulous job of doing that with different planes and different angles. This was pretty terrible. This is pretty gosh darn good. I think that's successful. And when you look at it in the existing homes, I think it's very much in keeping. I like the way you did continuous fascia boards. These kind of homes have that. The existing homes have that look too. That's very good. The metallic, the standing metal roof, with all due respect, and it's appropriate in many things, but in this house, I think the flat tile, the lightweight concrete tile or whatever, that's the way it is. So, and I have no problem with standing metal roof, but not on this project. I don't want to take up more, but I like the split face for against the precision block. You can't see it anyway. It's in the backyard. The architect has agreed that he can enhance that. Terrific. And just about everything about it I like. The windows, the surrounds, as Mr. Ellis said, are going to be done without the foam board. It's fine. The horizontal accentuation, okay, but I think that's achieved really nicely with the roofs. And I saw the windows. This actually, the shadow is hiding the roof. This is actually a very narrow window because you got a tub there. All in all, I think it's a very good job, and I think it's an example of taking something that was not working well, not trying to push that. Often people try to push that and butt heads, and look at it from a new perspective, and I think all in all it's done well. I know there's some landscape issues, which I'll let our landscape architect talk about, and our new colleague, but all in all, I think it's a very successful project.
Mr. Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Insua. That made it very easy. I tend to agree with most of your notes. It is definitely an improvement over what was you guys saw in January, and a big improvement over their existing home. Metal roof, I'll defer back to them. I either on that one. I'm looking at my notes here. The wall, I looked at the property, and I tend to agree with the applicants that you can't even see the back of that wall from the street below, which the neighbor right up against it, if they had a problem, I would think they would be here, but the only people who have turned out have been in support, which, again, Mr. Insua made that comment. It's very nice that the public, pro or con, we make our decisions based on not only the project, but what the neighborhood and what the community feels. And it's good to see that you folks took the time to turn out and come down here. As far as on that wall, back to that wall, I see where staff was doing, moving it in a little bit with a fence as opposed to a wall. From just the pictures we just saw, anything was an improvement over the existing wall. So I defer back to you guys with staff on that. I don't have a real issue with that. The horizontal nature, and I think, Ivan, you kind of explained it, because I was thinking some of the windows could be maybe a little bit less rectangular and a little more, but you really explained the roof line and all. And so, all in all, I think I could support the project as presented.
I won't repeat everything. I think it's probably one of your better jobs, Mr. Hagobian. I do appreciate the fact that the side elevations, looking from the neighbors, have a lot of articulation, and it doesn't look so much better than the previous plan. I also agree, I don't think a metal roof would go in this situation at all. The flat tile is what everybody has. I think it lends itself to this particular design. I am questioning some of the hardscape in the front. We've got interlocking driveway, and then there's really no designation as to what the entrance is, which is quite a large entrance material, and you've got existing concrete around the perimeter. I would suggest that those areas be massaged a little, maybe make the entry a little less large and have it complement the driveway and work with the concrete so that we don't have three different materials. Regarding the landscaping, I see what they're trying to do here, but you've got 4 or 5 trees down the right side looking at the property, and you also have trees existing there and trees right next on the neighbor's property. So this is going to be too many trees together, so I would minimize some of those. You have a tree on the left side of the driveway that's a multi-trunk tree. You're going to have trouble driving in once that tree grows up, so you might want to change that to a standard rather than a multi-trunk tree. And other than that, let's see. I would like to see a rear yard design, landscape design also. And I think I agree with my colleagues on the rest of the comments. It's a very nice job. I would support this. Any questions? We ready for a motion? Or we don't have any conditions on this, do we?
I was going to say, Madam Chair, members of the board, looks like of the conditions that staff had recommended, we're only looking at the first 3, which would be the amount of hardscape in the front yard, side yards. Number 2, the landscape plan for the rear yard as well. And the decorative wall, which would be a different sort of material. Only Mr. Agobian, he understands what I'm talking about on that. Those seem to be the only ones. The rest of them on the back are pretty much
I would suggest that we leave the material up to the applicant.
That'd be fine. We can make that a consider. Shall I make that a consider? A consider? Yeah. Okay, so for the decorative wall, it'll be a consider. I'll add that. And
then the only other question that I had was we had condition 8 to use a fiberboard base material instead of the cultured stone. You're fine with the cultured stone, it sounds like. And it also sounded like, and I may be incorrect on this, that the cultured stone was also going around the windows as a trim.
No, I think that the architect indicated that they would fur out the window surrounds as necessary and then utilizing a stucco application to that.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm ready for a motion if you all are ready.
Do you have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the project with considerations and conditions as read.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion by Mr. Insua. We have a second by Mr. Ellis. And this is for approved with considerations and conditions. And roll call will be Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Just to make sure, because,
Yes, sir.
forgive me.
Yes, sir.
The considerations being what again? Because do you know what they are?
Consideration.
Okay, if I can read these back.
Yes.
Yes.
Let me do it just to make sure.
I'll just hold my
We
vote.
don't want them to bill extra.
Reduce the amount of hardscape in the front yard and side yards and replace it with drought-tolerant planting and permeable paved walking surfaces.
But I don't know that it has to be a permeable walking surface. The comment was to consider all the materials that are there and make them blend together so we don't have three different.
Okay, so the first part, reduce the amount of hardscape in the front and side yards and replace with drought-tolerant planting and/or paved materials that work together, that complement each other. And then number 2, a landscape plan for the entire site shall be submitted prior to the issuance of the building permit. What I would like to ask about is Chair Palmer mentioned that there are too many trees together in the front to reduce the number of trees in the front, and also
Not the front, but the side, right side,
okay, the right side
as
and
facing the house.
As
Okay.
you face it.
okay, and then to change the multi-trunk tree identified at so that's a consideration. Consider to change the multi-trunk tree next to the driveway to a single trunk tree. And then item 3 is consider to use that the decorative retaining wall material should not be a split-face material, but that it should be a metal rail material or something else that the architect chooses. So that's as a consideration.
Should not be a split face, but should be a metal rail. I'm not understanding.
That the decorative fence material should not be a split face material, as this is more associated with commercial wall applications, and the freestanding fences, not block walls, should be a metal rail material.
Right. Chair, may I make, just for discussion? I believe that the architect had indicated part of the project scope, although it is going to be put effort on this, is to have the backyard be renovated and ultimately have a swimming pool back there. And that, for me, just for discussion purposes, to make it the backyard have a landscape plan as a condition of pulling the house permit may, in my opinion, be a little bit heavy-handed when you do this, to require that to be done as a condition. You feel comfortable that since...
I think what they could do is, I think they should revise the landscape plan regarding the trees on the right side and the tree on the left, and the walkways are going to change. In doing so, they can add material to the rear yard that will show a future pool. So there's an area where a pool might be. We need something on that wall area or down the sides, so that you could just add to the landscape plan that you have some of the revisions and add something in the rear, but leave an open area for the pool, and I think that would be satisfactory.
Shall I continue? All right.
Yes.
Vote.
Yes, okay. Now we have, so Mr. Ellis, Mr. Insua made a motion for approved with conditions and considerations, and Mr. Ellis seconded. So, Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Insua,
Yes.
and Ms. Palmer.
Yes.
The 3-0 approved with considerations and conditions.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're to see in your house now.
I think it's a nice house.
It's a very nice house. Done well. Like you said, Chair, we can't do this.
No, we can't do it.
You were not absent, but abstained.
Go ahead.
Oh, I knew there was something, yeah, so...
We had a project where before we went to the architect, or I had to abstain. He was on the other board.
There you go.
Okay, as I mentioned earlier this evening, There aren't enough people attending today to approve either of the minutes, so we'll just put that on the next agenda.
With hopefully with that correction of.
We had two minutes,
Yeah,
right?
we're going to check on Mr. Aliano's withdraw. That's not the right word, but and then absent. Yeah, and then we
okay.
were.
I like to always be present for my meetings.
Okay.
Because you're such a gift.
Yeah, I'm a gift. I saw that movie.
I don't have any more announcements. Nope. No more.
I move we adjourn. A second. We're adjourned. Now, if you guys can do this every other week like this, maybe you can put them all in one day. We don't have to do it. We really think.